Hey everyone from Rhill English Institute, welcome. In this explainer, we are diving headfirst into a really important topic for your TKT Module 1 exam, Unit 6, which is all about writing. My whole goal here is to get you feeling prepped, super confident, and totally ready to nail this section.
Look, I know you're all amazing, experienced teachers. You do this stuff every day in the classroom. But you know how the TKT is, right? It loves to test the theory behind what you already do instinctively. So that's what this is all about. We're going to bridge that gap. We're going to connect all your practical know-how with the specific terminology and concepts you've got to know to pass. So, here's the game plan. First, we'll look at the big picture of writing. Then, we'll break down the nitty-gritty sub-skills. After that, we'll talk about how to use all this in your actual classroom, and we'll wrap up with some laser-focused tips to help you ace the exam. Sound good? Let's get started. All right, Section 1, the big picture of writing. Before we get into all the little details, we've got to build a solid foundation, right? So we're going to cover those core ideas about writing that Cambridge basically says are non-negotiable for any qualified teacher.
Okay, first things first. This is a huge distinction that the TKT just loves. Writing and speaking, too, are what we call productive skills. Makes sense, right? Your students are actively producing the language. They're creating it. That's the total opposite of receptive skills, like reading and listening, where they're just taking language in. Getting this difference down is absolutely fundamental for the exam.
So when we write, it's never just about, throwing words on a page. A good writer has this constant checklist running in their head. Who am I writing this for? That's the audience. Why am I even writing this? That's the purpose. Is my grammar right? Accuracy. Does it all flow logically? Organization. And the big one. Does this even make sense? Clarity. The TKT wants to see that you know how to teach your students to think about all of these things. Think about writing as having two different sides to it. This is a super important distinction. On one hand, you've got the mechanical skills. This is the nuts and bolts, the handwriting, spelling, punctuation. Then you've got the compositional skills. This is the brain work, right? Structuring your ideas, picking the right style, making it all hang together. To do well on the TKT, you've got to show you get how to teach both of these things. Okay, so that's the 10,000-foot view. Now let's zoom in. Section 2 is all about the specific sub-skills. You can think of these as the Lego bricks of good writing. And trust me, the TKT is definitely going to test you on these exact terms.
Let's kick things off with a big one, cohesion. So the official TKT glossary says it's how texts are joined together with grammar or lexis. But what does that really mean? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like glue. Cohesion is the grammatical and lexical glue that makes a text stick together. And the tools we use to apply that glue, we call those cohesive devices.
And here's a super simple example. It was raining. However, he went for a walk. See that? That one word, however, is a cohesive device. It's the glue. It creates a link of contrast. Take it out, and the connection isn't nearly as strong. The TKT just loves asking you to spot these kinds of words. Okay, next up, register. What's that? It's really just about formality. Is the language formal or informal? Are you writing a serious job application or just firing off a quick email to a buddy? The words you choose, even the grammar, are going to be totally different. And yeah, the TKT expects you to know this term cold. This slide just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? I am writing to inquire about super formal. You'd never talk to your friend like that. You'd say something like, just wanted to ask about. Teaching students how to switch their language to fit the situation, that's a huge part of teaching composition. All right, let's tackle written fluency. It's easy to get this mixed up with accuracy. Accuracy is all about being correct, no mistakes. Fluency, on the other hand, is all about the flow. It's about getting your ideas onto the page without stopping every 2 seconds to think. The main goal is just communicating, and that's why we do those free writing activities, where we tell our students, hey, for the next 5 minutes, don't worry about spelling or grammar, just write. Okay, so we've got our sub-skills, our building blocks. Now what? Well, in Section 3, we're going to see how they all come together. We'll look at the final product, the different kinds of texts our students write, and also the process they go through to create them. Just think about all the different things you have your students write. It could be a simple note, an email, a full-blown essay. Each of these is what the TKT calls a text type, and each one has its own unwritten rules about layout, its purpose, its register. A huge part of the exam is showing that you can identify these different types and, of course, teach them. Okay, listen up, because this next one is a huge deal for the TKT. It's a concept called process writing. The idea here is that instead of just obsessing over the final, perfect text, we should focus on the journey. We view writing as a process with different stages. It's all about how students get to that final version. The official glossary is super clear on this. It's all about planning, drafting, redrafting, and so on.
And here are those stages laid out nice and clear. You start with pre-writing, brainstorming, outlining. Then you get that first messy draft down on paper. And now, pay attention because this is the really critical part. Revising and editing are two different things. Revising is big picture stuff. Are my ideas any good? Is the structure okay? Then, once that's sorted, you move on to editing, which is hunting for those grammar and spelling mistakes. Knowing that difference is absolutely crucial for the TKT.
All right, enough theory for a minute. Let's get practical. Section 4 is all about taking these ideas off the page and into your classroom. So how can you actually use this stuff with your students tomorrow? Let's check out some strategies. This is basically your teaching toolkit for writing. You've got model texts, which are great for showing students, here's what a good one looks like. You've got guided writing to give them that extra support. You can use peer editing to get them helping each other out. And clear rubrics, so important, so they know exactly what you're looking for. And of course, you want a good mix of controlled practice for accuracy and freer tasks for fluency. I really love this quote. It's adapted right from the glossary, and it just nails the whole idea of process writing. It says, "A draft is just a piece of writing that's not finished yet. The key takeaway? The first draft is supposed to be messy. Its only job is to get ideas on paper. If we can get our students to believe that, it takes so much pressure off and helps them become way more confident writers."
Okay, time to get tactical. We've got the knowledge down. Now, let's talk about the exam itself. How do you show what you know and make sure you get every possible point on the writing section of the TKT?
Here's your strategy for any TKT writing question. First, look at the question and ask, what are they really testing me on here? Is it about cohesion? Is it about register? Second, you've got to know that glossary terminology backwards and forwards. No way around it. And finally, the best thing you can do is practice. Find those old TKT papers and work through the questions. There's just no substitute for it.
This table right here, this is your cheat sheet. These are the big ones. Remember, cohesion is the glue that sticks sentences together. Coherence is the logic that makes the whole text make sense. Register is all about formality, and text type is just about the kind of thing you're writing, like an email or a report. If you can lock these 4 definitions in your brain, you are going to be in fantastic shape for the exam.
So that brings us to our wrap-up. We've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From the big theories down to what you can do in class on Monday. But remember, the real goal here isn't just about passing a test. It's about taking all this knowledge and using it to feel even more confident and become an even better teacher of writing. So I want to leave you with one final practical question to think about. We talked about that 5-stage writing process, right? Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. My question for you is, which one of those stages are you going to make a special point to focus on with your students this week? Give it some thought. Thanks so much for tuning in, and seriously, best of luck with your TKT prep.